Hi, I'm Ralph Alfonso. Thank you for joining me on the Asking for Directions blog. And I'm actually here in Kalgoorlie, and this is the second time I've been out here in Kalgoorlie. I was here in November last year, and that was through my own choice. This time it was sort of through circumstance, and I basically spent 36 hours in a tow truck continuously getting back here, and I've been back here now for about 3 or 4 days. We've just gone through the Australia Day weekend, and I'm just waiting on some parts. So basically what happened was I finished in Esperance. I took off on my trip through Norseman, and a little bit apprehensive and nervous about what was going to happen as far as getting back in the groove of shooting portraits and so on. So went through Norseman, ran into a traditional owner there who came and introduced himself to me, and I sat down and shot a portrait of him and had a great conversation with him as well, which I captured. He gave me the details of some traditional owners in Gingin Jarrah, and that is a Aboriginal community that's probably the most remote community in Australia. So my plan was, and is still, to go to Uluru, and I thought I'd go through there. Now they're in the Victorian desert. I went up to the Australian Bight because that was one of my sort of bucket list things to do, to have a look at the cliffs of the Great Australian Bight. So I went through there, had a look at that, went up the Lake Howard Highway, and then I headed due north from there to Gingin Jarrah. And it was a good 8-hour drive in. I was about 40 kilometres short of getting to Gingin Jarrah, and I started hearing a bit of a funny noise from the front wheel. So I pulled over, camped up, and then the next morning started driving in and limping in. I had a bit of a look. I thought there was something in the brake caliper, so I went forward and back. The noise was still there, so I limped into Gingin Jarrah the next morning, introduced myself to the elders there of the names I was given, and asked if I could pull the truck apart and have a look at what was going on. So I took the wheel off. It was a little bit more than a rock in there. The front wheel bearing had seized, or not seized, but failed. And if I kept driving, it would seize, which means the wheel could actually come off and cause a hell of a lot more damage. I got in touch with Iveco on the Monday. This happened on the Sunday that I diagnosed the problem. Got in touch with them on the Monday, and by Monday afternoon they'd organised for me to basically have a tow truck come and get me. And that was then going to be on the Tuesday. Tuesday came along, the tow truck wasn't there. Wednesday morning, about 11 o'clock, the tow truck turned up. The poor driver had to drive from Kalgoorlie out, and it took him 18 hours to get out there. And then we loaded the truck up, turned around and headed straight back. And seeing that I have my heavy rigid license, I was legally able to help him drive. So both of us drove continuously for 36 hours to get back to Kalgoorlie. The trip back itself was quite epic. We blew 2 tyres, we ran out of a spare tyre, so the rescue vehicle had to be rescued effectively, and a station owner actually came to the rescue and lent us a spare tyre that we could put on the truck, and then we went back into Kalgoorlie at about 1:30 a couple of days later, nearly. So so that's part A. Part B, they replaced the bearing. They knew we had to replace the bearing, so that was waiting for me when I arrived. But we also found that there were a few other seals that were starting to go, and seeing that I'm heading back through the desert, back out that way again, it's prudent obviously to resolve all these issues. So I've been sitting here for 4 days. It's been the Australia Day weekend, waiting for parts to come from the East Coast, and I'm still waiting. So I'm out here, and then I'll be heading out back into the desert to visit Gingin Jarrah again and get permission to travel north from there to Uluru. Now, I could avoid that completely and head through the central highway, but part of this whole trip is actually taking those back roads and getting out of the comfort zone. It's been hard. It's been 42, 43 degrees for the last 3 or 4 days. Both Rani and I have been struggling. It's been hard to even sit down and do this, let alone do any editing or anything like that in the truck, because it is damn hot. So I will hopefully get some more posts out there, and I've shot a few images and so on as I was traveling, so they'll be on the Instagram pages and the Facebook pages and so on. So I'll try and get some of those images out there. It was an amazing country, even though we were struggling through it, but they were hard roads. So, those 36 hours, we were averaging at some points probably about 8 kilometers an hour for, 20, 30 kilometers at a time. So it was tough driving. Anyway, that's part of the story, and part of doing what I'm doing. It's been the real first sort of mechanical breakdown that I've had. Hopefully I don't have any more. But other than that, Brutus is holding up pretty damn well, and those roads are pretty damn horrific, so I can't complain too much. The bearing was under warranty, so it hasn't cost me anything either. So Iveco's been unbelievable with their service as well, and very, very responsive. The sat phones, the preparations that I've made have really helped me be pretty relaxed when these things happened out there, and I hope I don't have to use those things anymore or again whilst getting in trouble. So try and avoid that as much as possible. Look forward to talking to you again soon.